Oh, hello there. If you're anything like me, you're always on the lookout for a good, mature story that can keep you enthralled for hours. And today we're going to be talking about an anime that does just that feeling. And today I'm going to be talking about 2004's Monster. Now, Monster is probably something a lot of you have heard of. It's by a very famous. An adaptation of a very famous manga and a very famous mangaka, Naoki Urasawa. Came out in 2004, done by Studio Madhouse, and it's highly praised as a mature show and a thriller. And does it live up to the hype? Hell yeah. It's not every day that I could say that about an anime, but Monster, from start to finish, even though it's 74 episodes long, keeps you paying attention. Like it is definitely unique in the anime world because it's hard to think of a show that's similar. And to be honest, we need more of this. This is something that we need more of. I guess if you've been living under a rock, or maybe you're too young to know, Monster is a 74 episode series done by Madhouse, as I said. Basically about this Japanese neurosurgeon named Kenzo Tenma. And the series starts out when he's very young, still a renowned surgeon climbing the ladder in a German hospital. And he's very, very skilled, and but he's also very moral. He's a really good guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he always does what he thinks is right. He thinks that those practicing medicine should put the patients first. Now, unfortunately, the hierarchy of the hospital that he's in doesn't think that. They kind of think with their wallets. And at the beginning, everything's kind of positive for Tenma. You know, he's dating the daughter of, like, the chief of the hospital. And he's, as I said, climbing up the ladder. But he does find himself kind of different than a lot of people that he's working with because he has this strong moral code. And that kind of screws him over one night where two people are brought in for surgery, one slightly before the other. First, there is a boy who took a gunshot wound to the head. And second, there is a local politician, I think like the mayor. And obviously the hierarchy of the hospital cares about their wallets, so they say, this guy could bring us a whole bunch of money, so they want Kenzo to use his skills to save the mayor. But Kenzo believes that, hey, first come, first serve, man. I gotta help out who I feel I need to help out. So he goes against their will and rescues the life of the shot young boy. And the mayor guy dies. And of course, this doesn't sit well with the hierarchy of the hospital. And that kind of spins Tenma's life around quite a bit, at least for a little while. He kind of falls down the ladder again. He loses his girlfriend. His life really goes down the shitter there, at least for a little bit. But while he does question it in his heart, I think he knew that he did the right thing, or so he thought, because that little boy, the little cute like 9-10-year-old boy that he saved from a freaking gunshot wound to the head, grows up to become a monster serial killer and psychopath named Johann Liebert. And Johann, I mean, I don't want to spoil too much about like his life and what he does and what his backstory and everything, because I highly recommend that you watch a show to get that. But just know that this guy is fucked, and he is manipulative, he is cunning, he is charismatic, he just like he has this dark section of the world under his control, and terrible people want to do stuff for him and would die for him, and he seems to kind of hate a lot of the good aspects of life, and he's just this sociopath that kills people without the blink of an eye. And long story short, Tenma finds out years later that that Johann has kind of been on a spree of sorts, and dedicates his life now to stopping the kid that he saved from being a monster. And that's where we get the title of our anime. It's the heart of it is just this internal struggle that Kenzo has for, he saved this kid's life, and the show hits you over the head with that fact like a lot, but I think that's important because it's the struggle that he has to go through, and I don't think any of us can really like imagine, unless you're a surgeon that saved a life and you're watching my video for some reason. You pulled someone out of like the despair of death, and you gave them life anew, and now they're taking life. It's just a crazy thought, and it's just something that he has to like struggle with, because he constantly questions like, did I really do the right thing? Was this worth it? Should I have followed my moral compass? Did I fuck up, essentially? What would my life have been if I, saved the mayor instead or whatever? And why is Johan doing this? And the show, is a thriller, pseudo kind of mystery, not really, but like delving into why Johan is the way that he is, his backstory, his relationship with other people throughout his life, his hatred of seemingly a lot of humanity, and basically the fucked up world that was Germany right after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Now, one thing that this show really has going for it is a awesome cast of characters. Like I said, you got Tenma, you got Johan. Who else is another person that's really interesting is Nina. Nina is the twin sister of Johan, and she was actually brought into the hospital with him. Although she was like kind of like catatonic at the point, couldn't really explain like what happened, and she actually has a lot of amnesia, sort of memory issues, and a whole lot of issues with her and Johan's past. And she's kind of like a second major character. I would say gets like the second most screen time in the series, because she is not really like her brother. She's not a serial killer. She doesn't understand her brother. She blocked out a lot of those like early memories of her brother from when they were young, and she knows that. I mean, she's slowly remembering how fucked he is, and also wants to know why and where he is and how can we stop such an evil being. And it was her character development was crazy, because she just starts out and she's living this normal life. After the incident, she went to these like adoptive parents, and she lived what was like the normal life. She was in school, law school and stuff, and she didn't really remember any of the terrible things that had happened in her past. But old Johan, as he does, comes in and knocks some dominoes over, and it spirals out into her basically falling into what Tenma was doing, and has this urge to discover why, what is happening. I need to stop him, and her life kind of goes down the shitter as well. But she, like Tenma, keeps climbing that ladder, keeps getting back up, keeps fighting the good fight in order to seek justice. Something that I think she definitely believes in. And also to learn about herself, because, as I said, she has a lot of missing memories, and she doubts who she is a lot. And I think she's really on a journey, A, to stop Johan, and B, to find herself. And it was really interesting. Speaking of interesting, another really cool dude is this guy, Lunge. I say cool, and I'm laughing at the fact that I'm saying that now because I thought he was annoying for most of the show. But Lunge is like a BKA, which is like the German FBI, I believe. And so he's a cop, and he's investigating for... The series spans like several years. And for a long time he's investigating several murders that Johan was a part of, but because Johan was a part of it, Tenma's kind of wrapped into it, and Tenma kind of finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time a lot of the time, because like Johan will commit crimes, Tenma will, be investigating him, so he happens to be around, and that doesn't really look right in the eyes of the police. So for a lot of the series, Lunge believes that Tenma is a killer, and Tenma's obviously going to be on the run from him. And he's really weird. He types. He has this really good memory, but only if he types the information. So if you're saying stuff to him, if he's interviewing you or interrogating you, whatever you say, he'll type in the air or on a desk, and that's him storing information in what he calls his hard drive, his database. Kind of like a weird investigator like L from Death Note, but while his ticks were kind of funny and cool, I feel like he was he was just another crazy character, and I felt like the show already had enough of those. But he also gets some development as well, and you get to know a little bit about his family and his background, and why he is the way that he is, and why he's another person very committed to justice. Yeah, the animation for the series, like I said, done by Studio Madhouse, was really good, especially for 2004. It has great character designs. I have never read anything or seen anything, or I've never seen any Naoki Urasawa stuff before. And it seems like his character designs are super. They seem realistic, and but they stand out. People are iconic looking, if that makes sense. You remember what Johan looks like for a long time. You remember Lunge and his weird quirks, and even though Tenma is kind of this everyman Japanese protagonist, subtle changes to how he looks throughout the series, I thought were really cool. He'll grow some 5 o'clock shadow here. His hair will be disheveled, and years later, you can just see the wear and tear on him. That as he's been tracking Johan for years, you could see that wear and tear on his face and everything. And I thought that was really cool. The music, not a huge music guy, but the OP was all right. It's not something that I'm gonna be listening to on my iPod or anything, but it was alright. It only has one OP as far as I remember for all 74 episodes, which I found kind of strange. But, I mean, some people always skip those anyway. The score was alright. Nothing really, stood out to me. I'm sure some music snobby person might say, someone, maybe snobby person's the wrong word. Somebody that knows more about music than I do is going to comment down below how I missed out on some crazy cool score. But, yeah, it was alright. It wasn't bad, alright? I'll leave it at that. But if you take away one thing from this, is if you're looking for a mature thriller anime, or just a mature anime in general, something that you could show to someone who maybe hasn't seen anime before, or judges anime, maybe they've seen Sword Art Online, or Pokemon, or something, High School DxD, but I don't know why it's those three. But if they've seen something along those lines and they prejudge anime to be immature and for a younger audience, show them Monster, because this show is one of the more mature shows that you're ever going to see. It's unique. Like I said, it stands out. There's not really a whole lot like it. I would say if you're a fan of Law and Order, or crime shows, or just thriller stuff in general, even like 24, and if you're into something just major plot progression, having a character change from A to B, from the beginning to end, in an immense way. And I mean, if you have an investigative mind like that, I think you're really going to like Monster. As far as for what I didn't like, there really wasn't a whole lot, so I kind of have to nitpick here. But my biggest issue is that the series is, I would define it as dense. Because it's 74 episodes long, and while there is action, it's not always it's not the kind of show where you got robots blowing up all over the place, and I get that, but because it's so long and it's so dialogue heavy, and you gotta kind of pay attention to what's going on, it just feels dense, and it feels long, and it feels like something I probably won't rewatch for a long time, if not ever. And this is I rewatch short shows pretty often, this is something I don't think I would be able to do, just because it's a lot, and the fact that I know what happens now, like, it kind of takes away like a lot of the mystery of it and a lot of the wonder, in my opinion. But I'm not saying not everybody. There are probably people out there that will rewatch it, but I'm just not going to be one of those people. Just, not my thing. And the cat and mouse game of the series, again, because it's long, for me it got a little old. And what I mean by that is, obviously we have our antagonist and we have our protagonist, and the show is about, let's get him, like, let's find him, let's stop him. And there are several instances in the show where, this could be alleviated, but it kind of, I don't want to say like a bait and switch, but he just, like, Tenma just gets so close, and then it just sweeps the rug out from under you, and then, it'll be like another like 10 or 15 episodes before he gets that close again. And I found that, like, just a little annoying, but luckily, to counteract that, the show just has so many really cool characters. I only talked about like 3 or 4 of like 20 really cool characters in the show, but talking about a lot of them would really delve into the story too much, I think, and it could reveal like some spoilers. But yeah, please watch Monster. If you guys have seen it, let me know what you guys thought down below, and let me know what's like another like series that you would consider like mature, and something that like you would show maybe like a parent or like a friend that hasn't seen anime before. Because I watched this with my 53 now, I think 52-year-old father, who I've been trying to get into anime, and he loved it immensely. So I hope that says something about it. And as always, this is Miasma from Gyre Media, signing out.